Angel Rebo, known as the CEO Confidant.
Is an influencer, international TV host, public speaker, CEO consultant, board member, and philanthropist.
I was always doing the same thing. So I was always helping my employers to develop their businesses. I think that business leaders now need to be conscious like never before. They need to hear different messages.
Angel has empowered more than 1,500 CEOs in 33 different countries and speaks 5 languages.
Hello, everybody. This is Angel Rebo, the CEO Confidant, and also the president and co-founder of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. And we are here today with Neville Joffe. Hi, Neville. How are you?
Fine. Hi, Angel. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Absolutely. So for those that don't know Neville Joffe still, he is an executive educator. And, for the last 25 years, he's trained more than 20,000 C-level executives and business operators in order to help them understand the financial implications of their business decisions. And he's done that with very, very large corporations in the world, like, Campbell Soup, Bombardier, or Hallmark Cards, and so many others. So welcome to the show, Neville. How are you today?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Angel.
Wonderful. So let's start because, we started this series of talking about the different chapters of your book, the latest of your books, which is the Baker's Dozen Rules of Highly Successful Business Operators that you see here. And I wanted to talk today about the chapter 7, which has a very, very nice title, which is Revenues Are Vanity, Profits Are Sanity, and Cash Flow is Reality. What is behind that subtle title, Neville?
Angel, over the years, I've looking at publicly traded financial statements, speaking to business owners, operators, executives, boards of companies. And the first topic that seems to arise, or the measurement of success, if you will, always seems to be, what are your revenues? Have your revenues gone up? Why did your revenues go down? The first topic of conversation is really around, do you have enough cash to survive? Are you making a profit? I'm not suggesting they don't talk about those things, but usually the first thing on the list are revenues. And often a lot of the small operators as well tend to say, well, my revenue's up, everything is great. That couldn't be further from the truth. Because revenues are vanity. What are your revenues? Person says, well, they're up by $3 million. Really? What they should be following their question with, are you making a profit? And
right.
If you are making a profit, they should be asking, do you have any cash to stay alive in your business? How about your cash flow? So then, hence, that's why I came up with this chapter, revenues are vanity, profits are sanity. You need to make profits if you want to sustain your profits and cash flow in your business.
So obviously everything starts, in sales, right? I mean, the money gets into companies through sales. So you're selling some sort of product or services. But really, as you say, sales is often used, even when large corporations are reporting to, investors, most of the conversations are around sales. Why do you think this is consistently like, the profits and revenues are consistently like a blind spot on those conversations?
I think a lot of it is naivety, Angel. What happens is there's a distinct disconnect between those people. Let me start from the top. There's an alignment between investors, the board, and the CEO. Well, they better be aligned, or the CEO won't last very long. But there's a disconnect between the CEO and the C-suite, and even a bigger connect between the C-suite and those people in day-to-day operations. Ultimately, those people in operations, and I said this on previous interviews as well, and I'm going to stick with it because it's so important. Ultimately, those people in operations are the ones who are essentially signing the checks in the corporation. They were making decisions. You spoke about sales. So people in sales are the ones who are discounting. Do they even know how much volume they've got to sell to offset a discount to maintain the same gross profit? I can count literally on one hand how many people give me the right answer. They've never even thought to even ask the question. Have they thought about you're going to increase your sales and so revenues go up? Have they thought about the additional resources that are needed to support those sales? This really speaks to chapter 3 of the book. Just do as you say you're going to do. So what's happening is there's this big disconnect between governing the success of a business from a sales point of view by increasing revenue without even a consideration to the resources and the money that is needed to support those increase in sales. So again, a lot of it is naivety, a lot of it is a lack of financial transparency, a lot of it is a lack of communication, a lot of it is a lack of engagement. In fact, if you look up on the top corner of my screen, we talk about driving sustainable profits and cash flow. The word sustainable is the opposite word, but to do that, we need to engage our employees, we need to educate them. And only when we do that is it reasonable to hold them accountable. So a lot of this is a big disconnect in communication and education.
All right, we have identified this issue, this problem, this blind spot. What can we do to fix it?
First of all, another chapter we'll talk about later on is not everything interesting is useful.
Right.
And don't evaluate numbers in isolation. So the way to fix this is to deal with the root cause of the problem, not the symptoms. And not to keep doing the wrong thing more efficiently. We need to do the right thing more effectively. And the right thing is to, number one, have sufficient financial transparency that everybody knows what's going on. Number two, to ensure that people can connect operational behavior to the ultimate reason why we're in business, which is to drive sustainable profits and cash flow. Otherwise, they're operating in a vacuum. They're looking at numbers in isolation. That is the root cause of the problem. So if people get educated, understand the implications, and learn to communicate with each other through engagement, that is the root cause of the problem. I'm not suggesting it's a perfect solution, but one thing's for absolute certain, it will resolve a lot of issues. You know, often when I've worked with these large corporations, Angel, and we're customizing our training programs, our business literacy training programs, I'll often hear that the company has a lot of problems. By the time I'm finished customizing it, they realize you don't have a lot of problems. You have a lot of the same problem. Right. And the same problem is lack of communication and engagement and accountability for the right reason, not accountability for the wrong reason. Accountability doesn't have to be a negative term. It can be a positive term as well. That is a root cause of a lot of these issues.
So, according to your experience, what happens after you deliver that education, that training? What do you typically see that happens immediately in that company, that organization?
Well, there are a lot of things that happen, but in the interest of time, I think the first thing that comes to mind is that there's an adjustment of the KPIs and the metrics that are expected for your people to read. I've seen this happen so often. It comes to budget time, and we'll using salespeople, whatever, we'll get a list like this, 500 line items on a budget. What happens is the average person's eyes glaze over. They just become overwhelmed with information instead of sticking to what is useful, not just interesting. So the first thing that usually happens is, and the first chapter in my book is called Managing Expectations. The first thing that happens is the accounting department become aware of what is actually needed to move the needle. Don't throw a lot of stuff at everybody because it doesn't move the needle in any way. All that happens is people's eyes glaze over. That is an absolute reality. And another issue is that financial literacy, business acumen is usually the elephant in the room because people become intimidated by it because the average level of literacy, according to our testing, and as you alluded to earlier, we've taught a lot of people, is less than 40%. Doing simple math, that means people are 60% illiterate. So can you imagine how many decisions are made in a vacuum without understanding the implications? So the first thing that usually happens is usually there's a stronger alignment between finance and people in operations of the organization. They narrow this gap without boring them with a lot of unnecessary information.
If people would like to know more, Neville, what's their best way to connect with you?
Oh man, I love a good debate. Just contact me at my email address, Neville, that's Neville, at bizwisdom. That's bizwisdom.com. Neville at bizwisdom.com. I'd love to chat with you and take us to another level.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being with us today, Neville. It's been a pleasure. And for everybody, watching us today, thank you for being with us today. I'm sure that you have enjoyed this conversation with Neville Joffe as much as we have, and hope to see you soon in our next show. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thanks, Angel. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching our show today. The entire team of the CEO Confidant appreciates your time and attention. If you think that you are a good fit for the CEO Confidant TV, please connect with us on LinkedIn. We hope that you enjoyed today's show as much as we did. See you soon. Angel Rivo, the CEO Confidant. Email address angel@angelrivo.com. Don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you.